I'm going to show you a technique that my friend showed me about 24 years ago that I've been using every day since then that has incredibly helped me with anxiety, depression, and the symptoms of PTSD. I had been going through a whole bunch of really hard stuff in my life. I had been attacked on the street. My mother had just died of cancer, and someone had broken up with me. And all of this happened like within 2 weeks. And this woman who, she goes to AA, and I'm not an alcoholic, but she goes to AA, and she said, do you want me to show you something that could really help? She had me take out a pen and paper and showed me how to take a personal inventory. This is a 12-step thing, but it totally is helpful for anybody, whether they're in 12-step recovery or not. What you do is you get out a piece of paper. This is not going to be it's not like a precious journal or anything that you're trying to remember. It's just you can use a scratch piece of paper. And what you're going to do is write your fears and your resentments in sort of a random order of however they come to you. You don't have to go searching to dig them out. You just kind of take the top layer of what's on your mind that's bothering you. So if I were to write some right now, I might say, I have fear that this video will come out stupid. Fear, I could say I have fear, or I can shorthand it after that and just say fear, I didn't prepare well enough. Fear, my hair is messy. Then I might notice that there's kind of like some harsher fears in there. Fear, everything I do comes out wrong. And then I might notice that I actually feel resentful about something. And I've heard people tell me, because I've shown a couple hundred people how to do this over these last years, but sometimes people say, well, I don't really have any resentment. And everybody has resentment. And so let's say I'm resentful at the neighbor. And then before I say why, I say, because I have fear, they knocked the fence down. Now let's say the fence is down, and I suspect it's the neighbor, but I don't know that. So it's like I'm resentful at the neighbor because I have fear they knocked the fence down. But if I knew that they knocked the fence down, I would still write the same thing. I'm resentful at the neighbor because I have fear they knocked the fence down. So I never just go in and say why I'm resentful. I say I'm resentful at this person or this institution because I have fear, and then the reason. And usually there's like more fears under that. Fear without offense. People can get in and break into the house. And maybe it's not like a physical danger fear. Maybe it's, just, we call it self-centered fear. Fear, people will think my family's trashy for having a broken fence. Fear, I should fix it. Fear, it'll cost over $1,000. I don't know. We don't even have a broken fence. I'm just making something up. So this is just an example of how the fear is just kind of a stream of consciousness of what you're noticing. And sometimes it's a really harsh fear. Some of the fears, like when I really take enough inventory, really what's at the core is fear I'll end up alone, fear I'll die, and fear I'm no good. Those are kind of the core fears. And sometimes the fears, they just sound really trivial. It could be just that you need to buy something at the store. Fear we ran out of cheese. And then going again hypothetical, I start to think about the cheese and I go, well, who ate the cheese, So, fear Jim took my cheese. And I'm laughing because there's really no order of how trivial or how serious it can be. In my life, like the reason I have PTSD is because some really serious stuff happened. But I also get resentful about incredibly small things, and I put all of it on paper. I don't rank order it. I don't try to come up with what's a legitimate fear or a resentment. I just put whatever is on my mind, because it's really that little hamster wheel of thinking about what I'm fearful, what I'm worried about, what I'm angry about. Those are the things that keep me from really being present in the moment. And so I write as much as I need to. I do this first thing in the morning. I go get my coffee and I take my inventory for the day. And then I do it again in the evening. Before dinner is usually a nice time. And I write for as long as I need to till I just start to feel pretty good. And even when I feel good, I write. At the very least, I write that I have fear that I don't have time to write very much. But I try to write, whatever it is every day. And when something really is upsetting going on, I'll write 10 pages. And I'll write when I'm in the middle of the day and something happens and something is upsetting, I can always duck into a quiet room. I can go in a public bathroom. I can get into my car and I can take inventory. When I've written enough that I've sort of gotten it out, then I write. It's basically a little prayer at the end. And it goes like this. And you don't really have to be a God person to do it. I'm going to say God as the higher power concept that a prayer is directed towards. But if you don't have to believe in God, I would just suggest that you think about something greater than your own mind that you've ever turned to that can give you relief. And whether it's nature or the universe or a group of people who have really helped you, but just so long as it's not yourself, it's something outside yourself. But for practical purposes, I'll say God. I'm a God person. So when I've written enough inventory, I write, thank you, God, for revealing and removing these fears. Notice I didn't even have to ask. I just, trust. I've done this so many times I can tell you that writing them on paper removes them. Thank you, God, for revealing and removing these fears. I ask only for knowledge of your will for us and the power to carry it out. And put love, Anna, there. And that's what it looks like. It just looks like a bunch of writing. I deliberately write sloppy because I don't want people around the house to read my inventory, because sometimes it's about them. I get resentful at them, and there's no need for me to take that up with them. I'm just getting it on paper so I can not take it out on them. Then what I like to do is follow it with meditation. And my friend who showed me how to do this suggested if I was really going to write this 2 times a day, that it would help me if I would go learn Vedic meditation, which is the kind of meditation also known as transcendental meditation. But Vedic meditation is the generic word for it. And it's just a very old and simple form of meditating which uses a mantra. So I found that taking a class and being trained was really helpful. But if you're not able to do that today, you can give yourself a mantra. And a word that you could try is the word this, because I'm just looking for a word there that doesn't really mean a lot. It just helps me be in the present. Or I've seen somebody teach some meditation on YouTube where they use the word release. And so just a word that doesn't mean a lot. You close your eyes for 20 minutes and you just kind of focus on that word, saying it silently to yourself. This. The results are amazing, actually. When I started doing this, I was in a terrible mental state. I was so, I didn't know it at the time, but I had PTSD. And because of the recent attack, I was really scatterbrained, and my focus was so bad I could barely dial the telephone. And as soon as I went and learned how to meditate, and take an inventory and follow it with meditation, as soon as I did that, within the first day, I was able to get my focus back. And within a couple of weeks, all that anxiety and depression had left me. And it's not like writing and meditation make life perfect, but they get you into a neutral zone where you can kind of start to solve some problems and just have a day. And day after day, that starts adding up to a much happier life. The other thing is, since I've been doing some research on PTSD, it turns out, for a long time, PTSD has been really misunderstood, and I got it in early childhood. And so it affects your brain. It affects your ability to kind of stay present and focus when you're under stress, among other things. And so I didn't really know what was different about me. I knew that I had kind of a rough childhood, but I didn't really know what was going on or why I had certain symptoms like a lot of difficulty focusing or a tendency to kind of emotionally overreact to things, or a tendency to kind of like check out when something would be very, very upsetting to me. I'd get very upset and then just kind of blank out. I would just be sort of like a zombie, and I didn't know what that was. And now I know what it is. It's complex or childhood PTSD. So I found out after I had been writing and meditating for 12 years what I was like when I didn't write and meditate. I just stopped for a while. No good reason really. I just, decided to try life without it. And very quickly, the symptoms of PTSD came back where I couldn't focus, and my emotions were kind of like, overreactive and underreactive to things. And that's when I found out that's what I had was PTSD, and I started reading about it. And it turns out that for a person who has a certain kind of like early trauma, talking about the trauma can actually just make it worse, can make you more upset. And that was always my experience, like trying therapy, like psychotherapy. So it would just be very upsetting, and I would leave completely upset and with not really making any progress on problems the way I heard other people describe therapy. But that writing is a way of getting at what's bothering you that uses a different part of your brain than talking about it. And that sometimes for people with PTSD, whether it's the adult onset kind that maybe like a combat veteran has, or the type that people get in early childhood from abuse or neglect, both kinds respond really well to writing. And then everybody responds well to meditating. And most people, I say that to people and they go, I hear this all the time. I can't meditate, my mind is too active. But that's why I write first. So the fears and the resentments is the active mind that makes meditation difficult. And by writing it down, you can kind of just like bring it down a little bit. And then if your meditation is full of thinking and kind of talking to yourself, it's okay. The results are still there. It still benefits you. So writing an inventory followed by meditation twice a day. Very simple, it's free, and it really, really helps with anxiety, depression, and PTSD.